What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, guys, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000, and we hope you guys can help us get there. Alright, so, Loki theory. The Disney Plus series will reimagine the Monster of the Week format. Now, you know what? I'm actually kind of cool if they actually do go down this road. I don't really like long story arcs. You know, some story arcs are amazing, some story arcs are less impactful. I can think of like Supernatural, for instance. Supernatural is one of my favorite all time shows. I mean, it's right up there at the very top. But one thing that I kind of felt like um, that hindered that show was the fact that they kept the angel thing just a little bit too long. Like the first few seasons, it was just hey, different monster of the week, and then all of a sudden it just became these long storylines that some of them were great, some of them were terrible. Um, I don't like that necessarily. I mean, I kind of wish they would have just stuck with what they did best. I mean, I felt like the show would have been a lot better for that. So yeah, I'm all for this. I hope this is the case. Though I will say, I do see some flaws in where this could be either epic or it could be just a complete and total disaster that gets old really, really quick. But let me just go ahead and read this to y'all. It says, Reddit user You the Mediocre Critic has suggested that the multiverse related problems that the Time Variance Authority has recruited the trickster god to fix are Loki himself, which, duh. By stealing the Tesseract in Avengers Endgame, Mobius explains that Loki fractured the timeline, creating multiple parallel realities. Presumably, at least some of these new divergent timelines now feature their own version of Loki, who is up to no good, requiring the TVA to step in, stop him, and thereby protect the proper flow of time, as is their mandate. Says if this theory proves true, which of course it will, each episode's plot could revolve around Loki confronting and likely stopping a new version of himself. Shocking. With the twist being that the monster of the week is actually a variant of the main character. There's no shortage of alternate versions of the God of Mischief to pull from, including Lady Loki, Kid Loki, President Loki, King Loki from the comics, as well as any new versions the show writers may create. Despite the limited footage revealed so far, there are actually a few major clues that could back up this concept. One of the most notable is Mobius and Mobius explaining that they are recruiting this particular Loki because they need his unique Loki perspective. It may be puzzling to consider that insight the TVA could need from him unless he is helping to hunt down himself. In this case, he could provide the TVA with a look at how things and about how he thinks and operates, giving them a leg up in bringing his many variants down. It says the trailers have also featured different Lokis, ranging from what appears to be President Loki to be suited Loki jumping from an airplane. While the initial instinct might be to assume that they are all the same character, it's equally likely that they could each be the audience's first look at a few of his variants. Actor Sylvia Di Martino has also been spotted on set wearing a costume resembling Loki's Asgardian outfit, which could mean he will also face Lady Loki in at least one episode. And then it goes on to state there is also a strong thematic motivation behind the Loki of the Week format, having to observe different versions of himself from a third person perspective could give the Tesseract stealing Loki a chance to see how he affects the people around him and where he could improve. Tom Hiddleston has stated that the show's core theme is identity, which ties in perfectly to Loki having to repeatedly confront his own personality and all of its flaws, something he has long failed to tackle in a productive manner. Now, it doesn't take long to figure out exactly what could be um, the flaws with this. I mean, if anybody's ever watched The Flash, of course, we've seen so many time variations of Barry Allen, that he's had to fight at one point or another, and it gets old. It gets old. It gets to the point where you're like, okay, it's interesting to a point, but over time, fighting yourself just gets repetitive. Um, will this show go down the exact same road? I mean, that's going to be yet to be seen. If it does, I will say, um, it could be a just complete and total bomb. It could be. But it also could be very brilliant in the fact of, like they were saying, this is basically going to be a monster of the week situation where each one of these Lokis possess a completely different um, obstacle for him to defeat. It's not just going to be like him just fighting himself, it's going to be fighting a version of himself that is so completely different from who he actually is in his own timeline that, we might not even feel like these characters are even the same characters. So, I mean, I'm excited for that. I think that's a really cool way to do this series. Though I will say this, I kind of feel like the time variance and all of those things, uh, uh, they really are really weak. No offense to Loki. Loki is one of my favorite Marvel characters from the MCU, but I mean, if not my favorite altogether. But at the same time, if you need Loki to defeat Loki, like there's I feel like there's other characters you could have brought in that could have. Sorry, I'm about to yawn, guys. But I feel like there is other characters you could have brought in to give to just that were stronger or more capable of defeating each one of these individual Lokis. So I don't really know why you need that Loki's perspective to bring down these other Lokis. Are you saying that they're just so strong and so powerful that no one in the universe could defeat them other than Loki himself? I mean, I would probably disagree with that and say that's a bunch of bull. Um, but I think this is going to be an interesting show. I really do. Um, and you know what? I'm cool with them going down this road. I don't really want long story arcs. I like the idea of finding the next problem each episode. Um, I just don't know. There's all these rumors out there that there's going to be a season two, and so forth. And I'm like, how could they? How could they make a season two of a show where he's just fighting himself? Like it might work for one season, if that. But the idea that you would go through two seasons or multiple seasons of that plot, that would get old really quick. So that's why I say there's a lot of things that could go wrong with this series, but there's a lot of things that could go right. One is unique. Two, it's got Tom Hiddleston in it, who has just done a fabulous job as Loki in the MCU. So, I mean, it's got those things that are going for it. He's a brilliant actor. He's capable of doing parts like this. I would agree. Maybe the Lokis that we've seen in the, uh, in the preview of basically the show, or the preview trailers for the show, are probably not the Loki that you know that's going to be the main protagonist of the series. These are all probably going to be different versions of Loki, evil versions of Loki, more sadistic versions of Loki. But I'll tell you where this show could be um, groundbreaking in this one way is it could almost be Loki getting into his own mind. It could be where you face yourself enough. He's a very proud guy. He thinks a lot of himself. He thinks he's the most intelligent man in the room. What's gonna happen when he starts looking at these other versions of himself and thinking to himself, you know what? I see a flaw that I have in this one area. And then you see that flaw over and over and over and over again, or you see multiple flaws. What is that going to do to his psyche? That I would almost say, to a certain extent, that would almost drive somebody like Loki crazy. Um, so are we going to see the Loki that is slowly losing his mind by having to defeat himself over and over again and seeing the flaws and have to come to terms to it? Or are we going to see the Loki that is like, you know what? This is going to make me stronger. I'm going to have to accept these flaws, make them better, work on them, and that way I can be the ultimate Loki to not just take down these other Lokis, but to further my own ambitions later on down the road. Or will that just change his ambitions altogether by giving him a different perspective of who he is and what he truly, truly wants and desires in this world? So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see just which direction, or if all those directions that they go towards. I could kind of see that to a certain extent, where after a while, first there's agitation that's going to go on facing these other Lokis, and then there's going to be a sense of where that he's distraught about having to face these other Lokis, and by seeing the flaws in himself. And then at the end of the day, I think he'll realize that he's better off for it and that he can fix these flaws that have hindered him and have been his downfall in all these different, timelines. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I think we could see a character progression that is along those lines, and I'd be fine with that. I think that would be an awesome way to do this show. Now, whether that could work for all of season one, or season two, I don't know. But uh, if I had to guess, I would say it would at least work for season one. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. But guys, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Are y'all excited for maybe if this is true? Would y'all be excited about Loki taking on a different version of himself each episode? Would you like them to mix it up with other villains? Do you think he's going to accept his flaws and maybe um, learn to grow from them? Or does that even sound like the Loki that we really know? So, I mean, let me know in the comment section down below what you think. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Y'all take care.